Are you listening? Damn.
So we're doing this podcast live. Second week of 2020 as far as podcasts go. We're doing this live on Twitch. Chat is active. We'll probably be getting the chat going throughout the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, which this will be on YouTube on the channel, all the links to the YouTube channels will be in the description below. This episode is really just going to focus on Kobe Bryant. And when I was planning on what to do for this podcast, it just seemed weird to talk about anything else. And to talk about really anything. And so we'll break down this Kobe thing. And it's so weird, man. It's so weird because this is one of those situations where it feels like you shouldn't say anything because nothing can really kind of encapsulate everything. Nothing can say it enough, right? But you also feel like you have to say something and you have to talk about it because situations like this are so earth-shattering. And it's not that it's just the biggest news story or that it's the biggest topic, but it's just how it makes people feel. And this story has really affected me much more than I thought it would, to be honest. And when I was growing up, I wasn't even a Kobe fan. Honestly, I rooted against him way more than I rooted for him. And I think great players like that do that. They create an aisle, and you're on one side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. You're on, the team LeBron or you're rooting against LeBron. You're on team Tom Brady or you're rooting against Tom Brady. You're on team Kobe or you're rooting against Kobe. And throughout his almost entire career, I rooted against Kobe. It wasn't Kobe. It was the Lakers. It was this dynasty. It was that whole mindset, and it was just the idea of they can't be stopped. They can't stop winning. Whatever you want to say. And I rooted for the Timberwolves. I rooted for the Kings. I rooted for the Pistons. So I'm coming at it from a weird angle because I was, I think, 7 years old or 8 years old when Kobe got into the league. So I've seen Kobe's whole career, really, besides those first few years where I was, still too young to really grasp what was going on. But I've seen his entire career, and he is one of those people who he's bigger than the game. And he always was bigger than the game. But so I'm coming at this from not even like a huge Kobe fan. And when I heard the news, I thought it was fake, to be honest. Because when I got the news, I clicked the link was dead. Then I went to another website, they weren't even reporting it. Then I go to another news site, weren't reporting it. Go back to TMZ, the link is now working. They're saying they're hacked. It just sounds too insane. So I thought it was fake for probably 20 minutes. And then I started seeing the full article on TMZ. And I was like, well, why would TMZ, if you're hacking someone, why would you hack them and, hack them and then write a full 5,000 word article? You would just hack them, put up the picture, put up the title, put up some sentences, and then bounce. You wouldn't, be an actual journalist. So I started to think, man, this might be real. And that's when it really started getting reported. And, whenever I realized it was real, I was more shocked. I was more shocked about what I was reading. The fact that, a huge star, a huge celebrity, a huge athlete died. Just like anyone would be. And, that's when everything flooded in with the videos and the GIFs and everything of Kobe's career. And the more I sat and the more I kind of simmered on it, the more it was emotionally touching, like emotionally grabbing me. It started to really emotionally reach at me. And last night, probably about 11 o'clock, it really started to hit me. And today's been tough. And it's not just that Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, died, but it's just that it's such a real reminder of life. And it's such a real reminder of just how fragile everything is and how it puts everything into perspective. And it was so many emotions all at once, where it was, I can't believe a guy at 41 years old died. Okay, that sucks. A life wasted. Then it's, man, I can't believe a 13-year-old died. Man, a life wasted. Then it's, wow, I can't believe they died together. And you start thinking about what they were going through. And then you think about what their family was going through. And then you think about what the other family was going through. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so all day today, I've been pretty messed up about it. And like I said at the opener, it's so hard to even figure out how to approach the subject. Because it's obvious that it's the most tragic, unexplainably sad thing that could possibly happen. And that's really the only way you can put it, is saying this is the most unbelievably tragic and sad story I could possibly think of. And you say that, and then you feel like it doesn't even do it justice. Because it really doesn't. Even though that's all you can really say, it still doesn't do it justice. And when you start unpacking everything, it makes it harder to even do justice. One of the things that I really felt today was just how unfair it was. Just how unbelievably unfair that Kobe gave us and gave the sport of basketball 20 years of his life. Traveled everywhere, no telling how many birthdays he missed, no telling how many Christmases, no telling how many school dances or whatever, or basketball practices he missed. I mean, he's only been retired for, 5 years? So he does all that. The hardest part of his career. Plays 80-something games a year, not counting the Olympics, not counting everything else, not counting practices. Travels all over the world, wins everything, finally calls it quits. Plays through injuries, plays through dramas, plays through teammates, plays through whatever. Wins his championships, wins his MVPs. Finally hangs it up and says, I'm done. And when it was supposed to get easy, when life was finally there for him, everything he worked for, he finally had. He had a chance to be a father, to be a husband, to raise his 4 daughters. And he honestly looked so happy doing it. He looked so happy playing that role. We had seen him play the role of captain, of dominator, of ferocious competitor, of winner, of Olympian, of superstar. But now we were seeing him play the role of father, seeing him play the role of husband in the public eye. We saw him and his daughter all the time at basketball games, and we saw them all the time courtside. And he was really shining in that role. And it was one of those things where you just forgot the basketball player and you started to really enjoy and really root for Kobe Bryant, the human. And just when he can enjoy that, it gets taken away from him in the most brutal and abrupt way. I read somewhere that the plane started to descend at like 2,500 feet, and it was going like 4,000 feet a minute or something. So he probably was going down for 25 seconds, 30 seconds, where it was like, we're crashing. And to think of the whole story of Kobe Bryant, his whole book just gets abruptly ended in 25 seconds. It's so unfair. And I can't stop thinking about him and his daughter. And I can't stop thinking about what he must have been thinking about on that helicopter. Because you have a guy who his whole life won and controlled and dominated. And when it was time, push come to shove, back against the wall, he had the answers. And he was showing up. And I just can't fathom what it must have been like for really probably the first time in his life that he was rendered pretty much helpless. And what does someone think about in that moment? You know, it's hard enough for me because I was just on a plane. I was just on a plane last week. And, you know, every time you're on a plane, you think about what you know, the worst thing that could happen and how would you handle it and what would you do? And, you know, it's always, for me, it's just I just think about my family. It's easy. It goes straight to family. But someone like Kobe, who has lived 40 years that no one can even comprehend, how do you flash those 40 years over the course of 20 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes? I mean, think about what's going through his head, his legacy, his career, everything he's done. Then his, you know, and also his family and his fans and his teammates, everything. 40 years, that's all we got of Kobe Bryant. 40 years. And it goes to show, you know, I hear all the time, and I'm sure you hear all the time too, when an athlete makes a decision or decides to retire or decides or gets hurt, there's always someone who says, well, he's got plenty of money. Or, well, I'm sure he's not hurting. You hear that all the time. You know, Eli Manning just retired. One of the first things I heard was, he's got plenty of money. He's just going to go on a yacht. Oh, well. You know, someone tears their ACL. Oh, well, so they get to go sit on the couch with their $50 million. Ho-hum. And it goes to show, man, that at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter at all. These are human beings. We're all just human beings. We're all just humans. And the notion that these athletes or celebrities or movie stars or actors or, you know, artists or whatever, that they're immune to being a human being because of their money or their fame or whatever, it's just not the case. Life is so fragile. And that was something I was really struggling with this morning. You know, I was waking up, I was going to work, I was doing my normal stuff, and I just kept thinking, who gives a shit? Who cares? Who cares if I'm wearing khaki pants? Who cares if I go do my job? Who cares? You know, I just want to sit there. I just want to see my parents. I just want to be around my family, my friends. You know, I just want to hug my mom. I just want to hug my dad. You know, like, what matters? My water bill? Screw my water bill. You know, and that's what really started to shake me, was not the Kobe Bryant, the basketball part, but just this cruel reflection of life. And death always has a way of doing this, especially with people who you grew up with, you know, whether it's a role model or a movie star or even a fictitious character. Whenever they die or whenever they end, you have no choice but to feel that. You just feel that. You know, you feel that tug of life. You feel that tug of mortality. And it's so easy to forget how mortal we all are. It's so easy to sit at work or sit somewhere and just be thinking, oh my God, I cannot wait for 5 o'clock. I cannot wait for these 8 hours to go up. And you're literally wishing your 8 hours of life away. You know, I can't wait till Saturday. It's Tuesday. I can't wait till Saturday. Screw Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I just can't wait to Saturday. Get me to Saturday. You're just cashing it in. You're just wishing away 4 days of your life. And we do it all the time. I do it all the time. All the time. Where I'll, you know, These next 6 hours don't matter. These next 3 days don't matter. This next month doesn't matter. Just get me to what I'm looking for. And when something like this happens, it just forces you to just really reflect and really just think about it. And, we know Kobe was great on the basketball court. You don't need me to tell you that. You don't need me to tell you what kind of a competitor he was, how ferocious he was, what a winner he was, what a superstar he was. His just work ethic, his no quit mentality. You don't need me to tell you that. But I just want to shine a light on just something that I think really transcended the game. And I think everyone's dealing with it in their own way. Some people are mourning their hero. Some people are mourning their legend, a guy that's larger than life. And some people are mourning the idea of just life itself. And are mourning the idea of what we're all down here for. And what we're supposed to do. And what really matters. And I mean, some of the people have been incredible on ESPN, and Jay Williams comes to mind, and all the players and coaches who just highlighted that same notion that put drama away, put the squabbles away, put worrying about little stuff away, worry about what really matters, worry about the important stuff. Life is too short. Absolutely. Life is too short. It's fleeting. It's fragile. It's vulnerable. Doesn't matter who you are, how famous you are, how much money you have. And I think sometimes we get caught up chasing these things, and we don't realize what's in front of us. We don't realize all the blessings around us. And it's scary. It's really, really scary. It's really scary. We're going to go to the chat. We are going to go to the chat right now. If you are not watching live on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to the chat. I prayed it was fake. I thought it was fake even after everyone was talking on Twitter. Even talking about it at work and saying it out loud still didn't make it seem real. Shows no matter how loved, rich, happy, young you are, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. It made driving to work this morning terrifying. Absolutely. That's something I thought about that the whole morning. It was just I was just scared. I was just scared. I can't even watch half the videos on Twitter. No matter how rich Vanessa and her other kids are, they're always going to be hurting for the rest of their lives. Same goes to the other families. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't even imagine. I really can't. I really can't. Kids across the globe were shouting Kobe, throwing things, and probably never even watched a basketball game. That's how impactful he was. The guy transcended the sport. There's no other way around it. He transcended the sport. This is something that transcends basketball. It really is. And it should not be 24/7. Right now, it should be 24/8 because of Kobe and what an impact he had. That's very true. The question is now, what are they going to do, right? What's the NBA going to do? What should be done? I think what should be done is 100% they should change the logo. I think they should change the logo. I think they should go ahead and make it the silhouette of Kobe. Great time to do it. Great time to do it. Just change it from Jerry West, usher in a new era, make Kobe the silhouette. I don't think they should retire the numbers. I don't think that's the way to go necessarily. I think maybe it's better if we saw more 24s. Maybe if we saw more 8s. Why take away the number? Let it be celebrated. Celebrated at the All-Star game. Have Team LeBron wear 24 and Team Giannis wear 8s. Celebrate it like that. I think all the stuff that they did was incredible with the 24-second shot clocks and the 8-second backcourts. Amazing. I think that's incredible. I think for sure change the logo, do the All-Star game, and celebrate him that way. Put him in the Hall of Fame next year. I think it's his first year on the ballot. That's what I think should be done. If teams want to retire the number, sure. but I think that I would rather see more 24s and more 8s than retire the number. The something else that I was noticing and that I was really monitoring was the media's absolute disaster shit show performance. And I've talked about it a lot on podcasts, how the media acts. My time in the media when I was a reporter, I was doing the same job that a lot of these people were. I was doing the same job that a lot of these people were doing. Trying to get some facts. I worked a crime and breaking news beat, so I got a lot of calls of car accidents with deaths, and I had the entire story written, and we're waiting on the first of kin to be told. And it's strictly ethics. It's strictly ethics on what these journalists are doing. And it's so disgusting, man. It's the only way I can put it. It's so disgusting what they were doing. Just getting a hunch, getting a tip, and just running with it. Just trying to be first. Just trying to get views, just trying to get clicks. It's just so sick. It's so sickening, man. It really is. And it makes me, I've said it a zillion times, and there are some incredible journalists. Do not get me wrong. There are some incredible journalists. But man, there are some bad ones. Man, there are some bad ones. There are some journalists out there that they don't care how they do it. They just want views. They just want clicks. They don't care how they come, how it happens. They just want their name on the top of the story. And I mean, so gross, man. It makes my skin absolutely crawl at what some of these reporters did, what some of these news agencies did, what TMZ did. Releasing the death before his family could be notified. Think about that. How do these people sleep at night? How do these people sleep at night? That they just put out Kobe Bryant dead. Well, what if his daughter sees that before she hears from the authorities? Who cares? I'm here for the views. I mean, it to me, and that's why I got out of the business. I've told this story a million times. I told this story a zillion times. I was working. There was a car accident, a truck, and it was a brother and a sister, and they were, I think, 16 and 14, something like that. Just started driving. They were on their way to school, and both of them died at the scene. And they were just on their way to school, normal morning. And it was awful. It was absolutely hellacious. I have a little sister. It's all I could think about. I used to drive to school every morning with her. All I could think about was if me and her got in a crash and we died. And what my parents would go through and just how scared we would be. All that stuff. And I remember my editor at the time asked me to call the house. To call the house. Not, go through somebody, go through a family member to try and set up an interview. Cold call the house like I was selling vacuums. And he asked, he was at my desk. I can see it clear as day. And he said, call the house. And I straight up said no. I said, absolutely not. I am not just calling the house and saying, hey, Mr. I don't even remember the last name. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas. This is James Skrmetta from the Daily Herald newspaper. Hey, so anyways, I heard your 2 kids died in a tragic car accident about 35 minutes ago. You want to do a story for tomorrow's paper? Oh, and that was the day where I really was like, okay, this is not for me. This is not for me. This is not. I'm not cut out for this. I cannot do this. And I didn't write the story. I didn't call. I don't know what happened with it. I didn't touch it. I don't remember if someone called, if someone did an interview. I'm not sure. I really cannot attest to that. But I can tell you that I certainly did not call. I certainly did not interview their parents. And I would have, if it came down to it, which eventually I did, but I would have happily quit my job before I made that phone call. TMZ dropped the ball. Wait till the authorities, 100%. 100%. Yeah, seeing all those players crying on the court, it's like, yo, what are y'all making these people do? NBA needs to stop playing right now. I think it is the right thing to do. I understand. I understand. Not they couldn't cancel Sunday. I mean, some of the games were going on. Some of the games were happening when they found. I think the Rockets may have found out in the middle of the game, and I understand that for sure. But I think they did the right thing, postponing the Lakers game. I think, sometimes being a human supersedes it. Like, it just trumps everything. I get the idea that, yeah, it's hard to cancel games. What are you going to do with tickets? What are you going to do with, everything? But figure it out. Figure it out later. Figure it out. Just do something else. I get it. I get how it's like, oh man, can't just cancel all the tickets. I don't know, man. Maybe you can. What do you mean do? Like, watching these players crying and trying to play. Like today, I forgot who it was, but somebody today had to leave the game. People had to leave the game today because they were crying in the middle of the game. I mean, this is hard. This is really hard. Honestly, between me, you, and the camera, today on my lunch break, I was driving in my car on my lunch break. No big deal. Larry Nance Jr. Yeah, Larry Nance Jr. had to leave the game because he was crying. And I was in my car driving at noon, and I thought I was going to start crying. And it was nothing to do with, it was everything to do with Kobe, but it was nothing to do with Kobe as the basketball player. It was just me thinking about my family. It was me thinking about if something happened to a family member or happened to me, and, just kind of all about life. And I was just super emotional, and it was tough. It was probably an hour and a half where I was pretty, like, I was taking some deep breaths. I was sad. I was really sad. And these are people who, a lot of these guys like Dwayne Wade, and these guys who played with Kobe, played against Kobe. Like, this is not only just a reminder of life. This is their friend. This is a role model for some of these young players. This is a guy who probably signed his jersey, gave it to him, was probably hanging up in their house, did a jersey swap, or saw him at the sidelines, dapped him up. Like Luka Doncic. I saw a video of Luka maybe 2 weeks ago. Luka taking a picture with Gigi, and then taking a picture with Kobe and talking to him, and Luka was probably like, "Oh my God, that's Kobe Bryant." I can't believe this is happening. He's just gone. It's crazy. I think I can't imagine. I can't think of a bigger sports or celebrity like a truly tragic, shocking death. This is something that, in my lifetime at least, like I would say this is probably pretty comparable to when JFK died, or when Elvis died, and people just didn't know what to do. People were just frozen. People are just like, life stops. And it's kind of weird because I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but I think the only person that probably had the same magnitude was like Dale Earnhardt, because he was at the top of the sport. He was in one of the biggest races of the year and died in the middle of the race. Could you imagine if LeBron James died in the middle of Game 7 of the finals? Like, it'd be insane. So as far as shock, as far as pure shock, maybe Earnhardt, but as far as just the whole thing, I'm reaching to try and even compare it. But I think this, for at least 50 years, at least, that this is just the biggest, most tragic, shocking death there is. I really don't know if you can think of someone. Put it in the comments below, or if you're in Twitch chat right now. But man, I don't know. It's just the worst. Like I said, it's just the worst. It's just absolutely the worst thing. And that's all I keep saying is, like, this is as bad as it gets. This is a tragedy of all tragedies. And it truly is. It truly is. it is a brutal reflection, man. It is a brutal reflection of our own mortality. Obviously, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Obviously, prayers and condolences to the families of Kobe and also the family of the other victims. And also just condolences and thoughts to people who are just hurting. People who are just hurting right now. And people who are really struggling with this and really struggling with this idea. I absolutely don't blame anyone for hurting. Life is hard. Life is really hard, really confusing. People are worried about, am I doing the right thing? What do I have to do for a career? How do I make money? How do I support a family? How do I find a wife? How do I find a husband? What do I do? Who do I vote for? There's homeless people. There's people dealing with cancers. Life is hard. Life is so hard. It is the hardest game ever created. And moments like this make a really, really, really hard game really, really, really simple. Because moments like this make you remember exactly what life really is all about. Family and friends. It's not about any of the stuff that probably takes up 90% of our life, sadly. And hopefully this is a moment where people can put back into the frame of what's important. And people can put back into the frame what life's really supposed to be about. For God's sakes, hug your daughters, hug your sons, hug your mothers, hug your fathers, hug your sisters and brothers. Life is short. Life is short.